Right, hi guys. So this video is a video response to Yorkshire Man 66 community challenge. So he did recently did a video where he named his favourite console and 10 of his favourite games on that console, and then he put it out to everyone else. So this is my response. I'm having to do this in a different room, not in the gaming room, because Connor's doing his homework or schoolwork. So obviously this is the only place I can do it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of glare off this light, which is quite annoying. But yeah, so I'm just sort of putting this out on the fly, really. So I've just had to do it where I can. Right, okay. So the console I picked, and it won't be any shock to anyone because I've recently got one of these for Christmas. This is one of my most nostalgic computer-based systems, console, whatever. Obviously, the Commodore 64 has got a place in my heart for nostalgia, but my first ever game console, not computer, game console, was the Mega Drive, and that was the one I was really searching for. I really wanted to get another one. All the nostalgia that goes with it. And of course, at Christmas, I got one. So yeah, and obviously, being one of my favourite console of all time, obviously, I've got a top 10 list. So yeah, so I thought I'd do a response to Yorkshire Man 66. I'll link his video in the description below, so go over and check him out. Right, so I'll do it in the usual style I normally do these. Number 10, you know, is my least favourite. Number 1 is my most favourite. We'll do it that way. To be honest with you, number 1 probably won't be a shock to most people who watch my channel. They'll probably know what my number 1 will be. But we'll see. Right, okay, number 10. Zool. Yeah, Zool is a side-scrolling platform game. If I remember right, and I do have this, I've recently picked it up. If I remember right, it had some sort of partnership with Chupa Chups, because you see that in the background throughout the level. There's lollipops with the logo on, and obviously there's sweets and cakes and things like that everywhere, jelly, all sorts throughout the levels. So yeah, there's a heavy sweet presence in it. And obviously Chupa Chups is all over it. So yeah, I'm sure there must have been some sort of joint venture there. But it's a good platformer game. You know, you have to run through, hit your checkpoints. You fire these little sort of like what look like little sweets out your hands, like a ninja does, because he's basically a little ninja from the nth dimension, I believe. And then you can jump like you do in most platform games, but also if you hit 2 buttons together, he does this spin where like a blade comes out. So it's, you know, it's a typical platformer, but it's just slightly different to all the others that were out at that time, and that's why it's on my list. It's one of my favourites. So right, number 9, Lemmings. Yeah, Lemmings, great game. A lot of nostalgia for me on that. When I originally had that on the Mega Drive, we used to sit down in the front room at my mum's, and we all used to play it. And this was when my uncle used to live over here, so he used to come around and visit every Monday. The Mega Drive and the Mega CD was out. Lemmings went on, as well as Columns and a few others, but Lemmings was the main one, and we all participated no matter who was playing. You know, oh, how should I do this? Oh, we'll put a stopper there, or build it there. You know, we all sort of contributed. So yeah, it was a great game, a lot of nostalgia for me. And it's one that I want back in the collection. I haven't managed to get it yet, but plan is to get it. So, right, number 8. Now, Eddie will love this one. Eddie from Rollercore. Because as you know, he's a big fan of Japanese games and systems. Well, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know the first Mega Drive I had was a Japanese one. And one of the first games I had for it was Whip Rush. Now, I'm pretty certain that wasn't released over here because I had it and my mates all wanted it and couldn't get it anywhere. Great game. It's a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, and it's basically like a R-Type but ramped up for the Mega Drive. Obviously, since then, we've had other versions of R-Type which are quicker and look better as well, but at that point, there wasn't really. And Whip Rush was the next best thing. Great music as well. Brilliant game. Very high paced. In terms of what you got now, maybe not so much, but at the time, very fast game. Of course, I played it on a Japanese Mega Drive, so I imagine it was fast for that reason also, because obviously a lot of their games run at different speeds to ours. So, yeah, very good game. Great game. One of my favourites. Number 7, Desert Strike. Great game. Different to anything else really that was out on the system. It was that successful that it spawned a couple more sequels on there. And, you know, it was different. It was not like any of the other games really that was out on it. And as you know, I've picked this up. I've also picked up the sequel to it. I haven't picked up Urban Strike yet, but the plan will be to get that. But yeah, Desert Strike was the one that started it all on that. And that was a great game. And again, another game that I used to play with my uncle, my brother, my mum, all participating in on it, you know. And, oh, do this, oh, you've got to get that, you know, maybe you should go there and look over there, you know. So we all sort of, although it might have been just one of us playing it, we all sort of contributed. So a lot of nostalgia once again. Number 6, Flashback. Do I need to say anything about this game? Brilliant game. Obviously, it was out on a lot of systems. The first time I had it was actually on the Amiga. But then I bought it for the Mega Drive. And it was one of the very first sort of games where they started to use proper human movement for the characters, you know, like where, because if you watch this game when someone's playing it, you'll notice that the guy moves exactly how we would do things, you know, when you climb, when you jump, when you step across, you know, it's all done like a human would do it. And up until this point, we didn't really have many games where this was going on. I think Another World was another one that was like that, and that was just before Flashback, but out of the two, Flashback was the better looking game, and it was a really good looking game, and also a head scratcher. This was a game when you bought it, you got your money's worth. You know, it was quite a long game. There was a lot you had to figure out because a lot of it is sort of like a puzzle game. You got to figure out, oh, I've got to push that to do this. I've got to collect that to do that, and so on. And it's all side scrolling. It's basically a platformer. But there's lots of other little elements thrown into it. It's a really good game. And as you know, I've recently picked this up again. Haven't got a chance to play it yet, but I have got it again. So, right. Number 5. Robocop versus Terminator. Now, as you know, in the past, I have played this on my Raspberry Pi. Now I've got the Mega Drive. I picked it up for the Mega Drive. Great game. Really good game. And the reason I got it for the Mega Drive was because I had a few problems with it on the Pi. It wasn't quite playing ball. And I remember this game from back in the day when I originally had it. And boy, do I wish I'd kept it, because my original one was spotless. Really wish I'd kept that, because obviously, as we know now, the prices of this game are through the roof. I was lucky enough to pick up the cartridge without the case in a bundle. But yeah, I would have liked to have had it crisp like I originally first had it all them years ago. But yeah, it is what it is. Great game though, nonetheless. What's not to like? Robocop, Terminator, two of my favourite characters in one game. Of course it's going to be a success. And at the age I was at when it came out, you know, you couldn't ask for anything better. Blowing people up, shooting them, blood everywhere. Great game. So these days you probably wouldn't get away with all that blood, but hey ho. Right, number 4, Golden Axe. You'll know Golden Axe is one of my favourites. I've recently played it on the channel. I did play it, I think, on the Retro Pocket 2, if I remember right, but I do have the cartridge for the Mega Drive. Yeah, again, not really, you don't really need to say much about it. It's a classic. It's a side-scroller. It's a beat-em-up. You know, one of my favourite genres. So obviously Golden Axe, at the time, I was drawn to it. And I was playing this a lot back in the day. A friend of mine had it on the Amiga initially, and we completed it on the Amiga, both of us together. And then when I got my Mega Drive, obviously I picked it up for that. And again, with a different group of friends, you know, we went through it and we clocked it again. And I've played it many times since. So if you're on 2-player and you've played this game before, it's fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but you can clock it again once you know what you're doing. But a great game nonetheless. And obviously it spawned 2 more sequels. So yeah, great game. Number 3. Now this is one I'm really trying to get hold of. The Chaos Engine. Now, if you went to America, this would have a different name. I can't remember what it's called there, but it's got a completely different name to us. Chaos Engine I originally had, again, on the Amiga 500. And then I later on got it on the Mega Drive when the 500 was no longer a thing. And again, this is one I wish I'd kept hold of back in the day, because this is another one where the price has skyrocketed a bit. If you want to get a good copy of this in a box, you're probably looking at about 40 quid minimum, I would have thought, at the moment. So it's a pricey game. But I would say it's pricey for a very good reason. It's a very good game. It reminds you a lot of the older games like Commando and things like that, you know, where you're running along, you've got a top-down view, you know, and you've got your character running along shooting things. And obviously you can play 2-player. There's various different characters to pick from. And in fact, if you're going to compare it to a newer version, like Loaded, for example, which we've played on the channel, which is a PlayStation 1 title, another one that's quite dear to get hold of, it's like an earlier version of that, if you like. So I know my youngest would definitely like that, because he's a big fan of Loaded. So it's one that I'm trying to get hold of, but I really want this in my collection because it's a great game. So that's my number 3. Number 2, shouldn't be a shocker, this one, Streets of Rage 2. Again, my favourite genre, side-scrolling beat-em-up. And obviously out of the 3, the second one was the best one. You've got Skates in it, and obviously Skates was a pretty good character, to be honest. You've obviously got Blaze and Axel, but then you've also got is it Mike, I think, if I remember right, the wrestler guy. So you've got a nice sort of you've got different types of fighting and different sort of generations in that, because obviously Skates is a kid, you know, Blaze is female, Axel's like your sort of street guy, and then you got your wrestler. So, you know, it's a nice little mix, and I think that's what makes that game so good, because you've got different types of characters to pick from. They're not just the same sort of move set with different skins. They're all very different in the way that they move, the speed, the style of fighting, etc. But yeah, great game. And obviously, you'll know I love this genre, so Streets of Rage 2 is definitely going to be in there. Right, and now we're down to my number 1. And my number 1 shouldn't be a shocker to anyone, because you'll know that I've been after this for a while. I'm trying to get a very pristine copy of it, because it's my favourite game. And that is Earthworm Jim. Great game. Platformer with a zany twist. And obviously, you know, Earthworm Jim, when it came out, it was really funny. You know, for example, you had to shoot a fridge out, which drops on a branch, flings a car up in the air, and this is all on a planet, like, very weird, you know. And then, like, when he's standing there and he's bored because he's been waiting for you to do something on the controller, he pulls his worm self out of his cybernetic body and starts using himself as a skipping rope, jumping over it. Or he'll tap his foot and things like that. And then when you're going along like a chain or a rope, he uses the top of his head to swing along. You know, it's very original, and that's what made it really good. The zaniness added to it. And the thing with this game is, it's challenging, and normally with games when they're challenging, after a while you get annoyed with them. You didn't with this, because you knew that you could do all the fun stuff all over again. So if you did die, at least you went back to the beginning and you got to do all the crazy stupid stuff again. And so it made it a little less painful when you died on a level. So yeah, that's my number 1. So, yeah, good community challenge, this one, Yorkshire Man 66. I like this. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Mega Drive is my favourite system of all time. A lot of nostalgia for me, so it was nice to just take a little trip down memory lane with all of them games. And obviously, a few of them I have actually managed to get back into my collection now. So, just a few on there that I still need to get. And Chaos Engine and Earthworm Jim are definitely a couple of them. Although I have got Earthworm Jim now on the Evercade, so I have got it. I just haven't got the Mega Drive one. So yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please like, share and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell so that you're made aware of all our future videos and live streams. And until next time, take care, stay safe. Nerdy Geezer out.